Recording is in progress. And so is our session. Welcome, everybody. Great to see you as you're coming on into the Wondrous Room classroom this Saturday, May 17, 2025. And we've had several days of nice sunny weather here in Keene, New Hampshire, starting to get a little bit of rain today for the weekend. It'll be cozy again, but anyway, we'll just have, I don't know, whatever the weather, right? It's all good. Well, it's all good unless you're in the middle of tornadoes and things like that. So certainly prayers for those out in the Midwest right now. I say Midwest, Oklahoma, those areas that are, I can't remember exactly what they said on the news, but that's not fun. That's not always good. That's never good. So anyway, enough about the weather. So my name is Becky Montrone. I am a holistic healthcare practitioner with a degree in holistic nutrition. I have a practice called Wondrous. We have a practice here. Well, it's my practice, but it's our business, and there's several of us on board who make that happen. But I'm a holistic nutritional consultant. So holistic healthcare with nutrition as an emphasis. I also often use, when I say nutrition, people often think, I'm a meal planner or something like that. I don't tend to plan meals for people. I don't plan meals for people. I do give nutritional advice, which I'm going to be doing today as we continue our series, Stop Eating C.R.A.P, crap, talking about artificial sweeteners. So anyway, nutrition and sound nutrition is the basis of good health. It is a cornerstone, if not, I would say, the major cornerstone, right? Because what you put in your body really makes a difference. And then I also work, with nutritional supplements in a targeted fashion. I'm also an herbalist, so make herbal medicines, botanical medicines, and we have a wonderful skin cream line, things like that. But the focus of my practice is Wondrous Roots. So that's focusing on the roots of health and disease. It's focusing on addressing root things going on in a person's picture of ill health or something off, what's really going on most deeply behind the scenes. Using the roots that I was gifted from my heritage, or my mother's great interest in therapeutic nutrition. She was a big Adele Davis fan, and that's what really got me there. And then my father's compounding pharmacy and thinking outside the box clinician skills. So anyway, Wondrous Roots, we are open here in Keene, New Hampshire. So the Miller Forge building, 3rd floor, 103 Roxbury Street, 9:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. You can reach us here, 603-439-2603. Either of our websites, shopwondrousroots.com and wondrousroots.org. From Contact Us, you can send a message, and that will come to my private email. What else do I want to say? I see clients of all ages and for conditions, any health-related condition. Not saying that I know it all, but I do my best. And if I can't be of help, I will know that. But usually I can offer something that is helpful in the equation. I meet with people in the office here in person and also this way with people long distance. Some of you right now are my clients long distance who are attending today. So great to have you. All right. So let's just do a bit of review. I'm going to share my screen. To participate, you can raise your hand and I will call on you, and we will speak and everybody can hear us. You can type your comments into the Q&A or into the chat. In the chat, you can decide who you want to see your comments, if it's everyone or just me or just somebody else or whatever, if you want to like pass notes while I'm speaking. That's how you do that. Okay, so looks like we have a good gang here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And that's not very interesting. Oops, let me go back here. I shared my screen, but I think I'm like too big here. Break it down. Let me try that again. Share. Okay, and that's shared. And now let me get everybody lined up so I can see what's going on in the classroom. Who's here, who's talking, wants to talk, participate. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of review past couple of weeks. So let's go to wondrousroots.org. And then if you want to do this at home, I'm just going to show you an easy way to cut to the chase. So this would be in, I believe, food. Or let's say sugar. Let's just write in sugar and see what we find. If we find anything. Guess not. Sweeteners. Okay. So I do have a sweeteners page. If you go down here. I was thinking I had that more in the, but I gave it its own. I gave it its own highlighted page because there is a lot to be said about sweeteners. So we started with 2 weeks ago. We started with the fructose fiasco, right? So deep dive into the sweet little molecule that's caused a big metabolic mess, from high fructose corn syrup's quiet takeover of the modern food supply to the surprising ways fructose disrupts liver function, blood sugar, mitochondrial energy. This presentation unpacks it all. Okay, so if you missed that, you can get it there. If you want to watch it on Rumble instead, you can get it there. And then you can see the whole presentation that I did with clickable hyperlinks. There's usually quite a bit of material in my presentations that you might want to go to, studies that you can check out on PubMed or whatever. And then also had, oh, you see what I did? I did this is just a reminder to myself. I did do this in a couple of different ways. So I did do it in food as well, and I'll have to figure out exactly how I'm going to do this. So like, it's always fun to be like right in front of people when you find out, Stop Eating C.R.A.P series, that you've done things a couple of different ways. And I might just continue with it this way because I put quite a bit of effort into this. So this really cool thing about this index that floats, right? So now you go down to sweet deception was last week. So that was all about sucrose, regular sugar, refined sugar. And we talked about that. So really, that was very insightful. And a lot of you reached out to me and told me how much you appreciated that. And it looks like I have. Someone, Joe, is here. So we're going to listen to Joe. Joe, speak right up whenever you're there. Whoops, this microphone. You have to unmute yourself, Joe. You have to somehow find a way to
Okay, there it is.
There you are. There you are. Hey there, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Becky. Thank you, and thanks to you.
Okay.
I was listening, and maybe I misheard you, but I thought you said that it was wondrousroots.com, and I thought it was wondrousroots.org.
Well, there's wondrousroots.org and there's shopwondrousroots.com.
Oh, you do have two different ones. Okay,
So,
I was just wondering. I'm saying, what the heck's
well,
that?
I appreciate that catch, and you're really paying attention because I used to be wondrousroots.com years ago. I still own that domain name, so if people type that in, it redirects them to my wondrousroots.org. But the shop wondrousroots.com it's a .com because it is e-commerce, whereas my regular website wondrousroots.org is an informational organizational website. So that's an org. But good catch. Wow, you are really paying attention. You get a gold star for that in class today, for sure.
All right, that was all. I'll just keep listening to the rest of it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Glad to have you. Okay, so yeah, a good point, but boy, he is sharp and really paying attention today. So that's really awesome. And believe me, I have misspoken so many times and will again and again and again. So we talked last week and a lot of people commented and said, thanks so much. And wow, I just never thought about that. And places we're getting sugar, we're not thinking about it. We kind of get lulled like a frog in the water that you bring to the boiling point. You just kind of get steeped into common trendy ways of eating or convenient ways of eating, maybe that that end up getting things into our diet that are really harmful, and we need to be reminded. I need to be reminded. So so that's all really good. Okay, so today we're going to move on, and I'm going to open up my PDF of my slideshow from today. We're going to be talking about where's my need to get educational presentations right there. Okay. Artificial sweeteners. Now, I was thinking I would be able to maybe cover artificial sweeteners today, because I don't know how many people are getting sick of like this information on this kind of thing. It's not everybody's. Some people are like really astute in it already or whatever. But all I'm saying is I wasn't sure, but I just really feel like my own interest level and my own feeling of its importance to our health bears like not rushing through. So today we're going to talk about what I have come up with, the acronym ASS. I thought how appropriate for aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin. That was all my idea. I thought it was quite clever. So I'm taking the AS motif and going with that throughout this presentation. Aspartame, sucralose, saccharin, and the not so sweet story behind them. They all have a very interesting story, I think, as well. But we can kind of see how this all came about, why. And, for people, a lot of people who are maybe diabetic or whatnot through the years, a lot of times their doctor's instructions would be to use products with artificial sweeteners. That's your answer, because they don't contain sugar, and not knowing that the harm that comes with these things. So anyway, we'll dig in. I think that's a good, yeah, that's just about right for framing that page. Okay, and then maybe just a little bit in. I think it was better. Yeah. Just, I'm a little bit persnickety about this stuff. Okay, so off we go. All right, part 3 of the Wondrous Roots Stop Eating C.R.A.P series. Welcome back, sweet Suds. Today we're cracking the case on one of the most deceptive ingredients lurking in your pantry, artificial sweeteners. They wear the mask of 0 calories, sugar-free, but the story underneath, it's anything but sweet. So here we go, meet the, see if I can get this to come down just a little bit. Oh, gosh, you guys know how I am. I just get irritated. Okay. What we'll cover today, we're zeroing in on the artificial sweeteners that sweet talk their way into your pantry. Not only your pantry, but I would really like to point out also, if you're out eating, I don't care if it's fast food or if you're at a higher end restaurant or whatever, a lot of sauces, right? Sauces that restaurants might serve that are pre-made, will have these types of things in them hidden, and you aren't aware of it. But anyway, they sweet talk their way into your pantry, but they may also leave your health in the dust. And that's not an exaggeration, as you're going to see. Meet the notorious trio I like to call the AS gang: aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin. Sweet but sinister. Let's start with aspartame, the drama queen of the artificial sweeteners. I would say the sweetener world. I would say that aspartame is probably the most widely, probably widely used, or at least, it came after saccharin, right? The saccharin came a long time ago. And then NutraSweet, aspartame sort of stole the center stage. And then sucralose came along after that. But anyway, we will get there. It's FDA approved, yes. And so was thalidomide once. Just having FDA approval, as those of you in the kind of circle that we are, well know does not mean much in many regards. And that could be a whole presentation itself, right? What, the meaninglessness of FDA approval, perhaps. But anyway, it is FDA approved. So a lot of times people are like, hey, the Food and Drug Administration is checking these things out and going to make sure that, if we can buy it, it's okay for us. It's good. It's not going to be harmful. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. Well, maybe some things could be, but that's pretty far from the truth. We're going to break it down, get into a little bit of chemistry. And that might not be really appealing to everybody, but I think it's kind of cool to see how these different sweeteners are related in a way, but subtly different in ways that change them completely. So here we have C14H, carbon, hydrogen. I believe that's nitrogen and oxygen. So, but we're going to have a trusty little reference guide. Yeah. So carbon, the backbone of all organic molecules like sugar, sweeteners, fats, proteins. Hydrogen binds with carbon and oxygen, helps form water and hydrocarbons. Oxygen, common in alcohol groups, OH acids and other functional groups, and helps define sweetness. Nitrogen, found in amino acids like in aspartame, phenylalanine, and aspartic acid, indicates protein-based structure, which we're just about to dive into there. I know you're all really excited, but anyway. Sulfur, present in saccharin and sulfur-related compounds, gives it that sulfonamide group. And chlorine, present in sucralose, which is Splenda, a chlorinated sugar not typically found in natural sugars. So aspartame is not the same molecular structure as sucrose. Here you have blah, 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 blah. This is do. They're different animals, chemically speaking. So sucrose, table sugar, is a natural disaccharide made of glucose and fructose. We went over that really in depth last week. And if you missed that one, you can catch it again where I just showed you on my website. It's also, if you go to my Rumble or YouTube channels, you can see that right there. Derived from sugarcane or sugar beets, digested in the small intestine via the enzyme sucrase, then absorbed into the bloodstream as glucose and fructose. It provides 4 calories per gram and spikes blood sugar and insulin. We went through that in depth last week. So sucrose is actually a carbohydrate. Your body recognizes it, breaks it down, and uses it for energy, whether for good or bad. Aspartame is a synthetic compound made of 2 amino acids, aspartic acid and phenylalanine, plus a methyl group. The chemical formula, blah, blah, 200 times sweeter than sucrose. This is why, was such a great, it was just such a great find in some ways for those developing it and for those wanting to use it to sweeten things, because it provides as well as the same 4 calories per gram that sucrose does, but so little is used that it is functionally 0 calorie. It is 200 times sweeter than sucrose, so much less is needed. So it's made up of these 3 components. Aspartic acid, which is an excitatory neurotransmitter. We're going to really be diving kind of into that this presentation, like last week we did with glycation. I kind of like centered and honed in on that very damaging process in the body. And so today I'll be getting a little bit more in depth about excitotoxins, and aspartame is certainly right up there among the top of them. Phenylalanine affects neurotransmitter balance. It's problematic for people with PKU, but so it's not, it's poison for people with PKU. And if you have PKU, because that's why they take a little drop of your blood from your heel when you're first born to test to make sure you don't have that genetic issue. So we don't really need to delve into that at all. And then methanol, which is converted in the body to formaldehyde, then formic acid. So that doesn't sound good either, now does it? So aspartame, unlike sucrose, is not a carbohydrate. Your body recognizes it, breaks it down, and uses it for energy, for better or worse. It's a neuroactive compound that breaks down. It's a neuroactive brain, think brain, compound that breaks down into potentially harmful byproducts. So aspartame is found in like Equal, NutraSweet, AminoSweet. It's a trio, the trio of those things we just said, which can refer, yes, that's formaldehyde. You'll find it in diet sodas, sugar-free gums, yogurts, and light snacks, the usual suspects. So again, really kind of catering in a deceptive way to the health conscious, right? In a way, because you're like, yeah, I don't want all that sugar. And one thing, let me just jump off on a little tangent here. This is kind of like a pet peeve of mine. What you see a lot of times when you're looking, like say you go on a paleo diet, you're just gonna drop your sugar, you're gonna drop your carbs and stuff like that. All well and good. But last week I was delving into, just on my own, because I thought this would be interesting to present, in some form on my website or whatever. And to know, just like recipes for encouraging people to get their sweets from natural sources. But what I meant by natural sources was like fruit, not how can I make a brownie without sugar? How can I have that cake I love without sugar? So you'll find if you make an inquiry like that, if you Google it, so to speak, if you search with whatever search engine you use, that's what you'll find. You'll find a lot of websites showing you just how you can have all the sweets you want and get around the sugar and get around artificial sweeteners like the ones that make up the ass in your pantry, but using monk fruit or stevia or other things. But I guess my point is, why do we need desserts? Or why do we need desserts so much that we have to figure out how to make our favorite desserts with something that isn't sugar? And I think that goes back to the whole point about how the sweet taste itself is addictive. So sometimes it's just trading in, well, I can't have sugar, but I can't do without my sweet taste. And I really think if for a period of time we got our sweet from fruit, berries, things like that, and that was what that would taste sweet to us. It tastes much more sweet than if you have hyper excited your sweet taste buds, if that's a concept, I think it is, with if you've spoiled them with high levels of sweet taste. So again, kind of not saying, oh gosh, well, what am I going to have if I can't have sugar and I can't have aspartame and sucralose and saccharin? Probably many of you use saccharin, but if I can't have those things, what am I going to do? Because one of my major food groups, dessert, is just being is lacking. So anyway, I think you all get my point there. So anyway, Equal, NutraSweet, AminoSweet, Canderel, which is common in Europe, Sugar Twin, some formulations, Spoonful, the blue packet, the visual shorthand in restaurants. So the blue packet, when you get your little thing in a restaurant with the sweeteners, they've got I think the yellow is Splenda, the blue is NutraSweet, and Sweet and Low is Saccharin. That's pink. Some other products that contain aspartame, and I think that this is the concerning thing too. It's one thing if you are saying, this is what I'm choosing for my source of sweet. But it's another whole thing if you're saying, I want to get a vitamin for my child. He doesn't like, I can't give him this type or that type, and I just want to. So let's look at that for a moment. Many so-called health products, especially those marketed to children or the weight-conscious crowd, absolutely do contain aspartame, even though it's the nutritional equivalence of letting a clown drive the ambulance. Yeah, it's like you just undid everything you put into this vitamin for a child. Surprising products that may contain aspartame, children's vitamins, Flintstones vitamins, especially chewable varieties. I don't think there's a Flintstone vitamin that isn't chewable, but gummy vitamins, various brands. And I would say that holds for adults too. So be very careful with your gummies. I'm not saying there aren't good ones out there. I know there are. But they're not great, and they're not good for your teeth either. It's not a really good way to be getting your vitamins. But some people, in some cases, just had a woman reach out to me with an nonverbal 8-year-old autistic son. Met with her yesterday, and we have to think of ways we can get supplements into him. So if his is a gummy that doesn't contain any of this junk, it might have a little bit of you can find different ones if you're careful, and I would be careful, but sometimes, but just to say, oh, I hate swallowing pills, I think I'll have a gummy instead. No. Anyway, often contain aspartame or sucralose as a sweetener. Children's chewable calcium or vitamin C tablets. Some have contain a blend of aspartame and azasulfame, potassium K, which I'm not going into here, but I'll dip into probably briefly next week, just to give it a little bit of clarification. Nutritional supplements and powders like Emergency. How many times have you, maybe picked up an Emergency? You're at a quick stop, you filled up your tank with gas, tank with gas, and you're like, oh, I feel like I'm coming down with, and you're like, there you go. Protein powders, meal replacements, especially weight loss light varieties, again, become, if you're not already like the big label reader. Brands like Slim Fast, Atkins shakes, or even popular meal replacement bars. So these things you would think are, I'm making a healthy choice here. Over-the-counter medications, children's Tylenol and Motrin, chewables or syrups, fiber gummies, calcium chews, even laxatives, Fiber Choice, Caltrate, weight loss and diabetic products. Diet or light anything. If it's sugar-free, it might be aspartame-based. Diabetic-friendly drinks, snacks, or syrups often use aspartame or sucralose instead of sugar. Amazing. When I know I've said this before, but I mean, not everybody heard it. But my father-in-law was in the hospital at one point in time, and he just wanted some seltzer, which I'm drinking right now. He just wanted seltzer. Could not be had in the hospital. He could have Coke, he could have Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, he could have any of those things, but he couldn't just get, Diet ginger ale, but no, just plain seltzer. Again, the medical industrial complex, the food industry is in bed with the hospital industry. They're all in it together, and you get to the hospital and God help you. I mean, you have to survive the hospital. People go to the hospital, they can't take their vitamins they're used to taking. They can't eat the food quality that they're used to. And they have to take drugs many times that they object to. And yeah, it's not a good thing. Not saying we don't need hospitals, but there needs to be an overhaul there. And hopefully we're going to see that coming with changes in the Health and Human Services departments that have recently happily taken place. Here's a list of some popular items that contain aspartame: Diet Coke, extra sugar-free gummy, chewing gum, Jello sugar-free gelatin dessert mix, Snapple, zero sugar tea and juice drinks, Sugar Twin, sweetener packets, Equal Zero calorie sweeteners, Trident sugar-free peppermint gums. And I remember like Crystal Light used to be that used to be really popular back, I want to say, back in the 80s and 90s. I think some people are still using Crystal Light, but Crystal Light, some of them now do not contain aspartame, but they were all aspartame based when they first came out. So why is this a problem again? Aspartame's presence in these products trains the palate to expect artificial sweetness. Oh, And there is that odd taste that some people come to crave. It's an odd taste. It's kind of like sugar with a sweet with a slight aftertaste that becomes addictive. It delivers formaldehyde-forming compounds directly to developing brains. It contradicts the entire concept of health support. And now the really scary stuff, aspartame and excitotoxicity to the brain. And this is huge. We have an epidemic of ADD, ADHD, autism spectrum, dull intellect, dementia in adults is rampant. And how many ways have we seen and investigated already that the brain is affected by lifestyle today? Drugs, lifestyle, what do I want to say? Our world today would be a better way of saying that, by our world today. So the medications we're giving, again, the vaccinations with their aluminum and their thimerosal and their formaldehyde being injected straight into our bodies year after year after year for those who are getting their annual, oh, don't get the flu or pneumonia, that would just be dreadful. And so we have that going on. We also have the things in our food, sugar itself being so bad. So why is anyone, and I remember one time saying to somebody, he was like saying, why do so many people have cancer? And my question was, why doesn't everybody have cancer? The way we are, the things we're putting into our bodies, the things we're surrounded by, the things we're putting on our bodies. So anyway, let's keep going on this one. Aspartame and excitotoxicity to the brain. First, what is excitotoxicity? Excitotoxicity happens when too much stimulation by excitatory neurotransmitters like glutamate or aspartate cause neurons to fire excessively and eventually die. The brain runs on a finely tuned chemistry. But when receptors like NMDA and AMPA are overstimulated, calcium floods in, triggering oxidative stress, mitochondrial damage, and cell death, apoptosis or necrosis. So this is the deal. You have all of this happening. The calcium channels stay open too long. They're supposed to like open like whoop, 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 I don't know, but really, really fast. And you get this transmission of ionic transport in and out of the cell. But the glutamate toxicity, this toxicity causes these to stay open, and the cells are damaged by the excess calcium. So let me check your memory, class. What is nature's foremost calcium channel blocker to help prevent that? Correct, magnesium. Magnesium, and that's why for the brain, I really love the magnesium L-threonate form, because it enters the cerebral spinal fluid, it crosses the blood-brain barrier very easily, and it protects the brain from this type of thing. It doesn't mean eat this, ass food and then take your vitamins, but it does mean, how many people are eating this stuff and they aren't shoring up with the things they need to protect their brains, such as magnesium. So yeah, that's your brain on fire. And then we have excitotoxins, the taste that kills. I've got a link there, so you should be able to go right to the book if you open up the PDF once I post it. Back in 1997, and this was actually a textbook in my school, in my education. It was one of the first things on the reading list. Very, very important. Written by Russell Blaylock, who is a neurologist. I think he's actually a neurosurgeon, and he's a wealth of information. This is actually, again, food, neurotoxins, MSG, that's what that's for, umami, the taste that kills. So a lot of restaurants, a lot of recipes today using umami. We're talking about MSG. And so another excitotoxin, and there are a lot of lookalikes. So one of the key figures who draw attention to this issue, warning particularly about the synergistic danger of aspartame and MSG, monosodium glutamate, and the lookalikes. So, and there are many. You're gonna be you gotta stay away from processed food. I mean, it's the only, really is the only way to eat healthfully. How aspartame contributes to glutamate toxicity. Aspartic acid mimics glutamate and acts on the same receptors in the brain that MSG does. Phenylalanine, another aspartame byproduct, disrupts neurotransmitter balance, especially dopamine and serotonin. So now we're interfering on another entire level. The result, a hyperexcitable nervous system that may be especially dangerous for children, people with neurodegenerative conditions, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, MS, anyone with a blood-brain barrier permeability or inflammation. And we have, again, in the what do I want to say, the adjuvants in the childhood inoculations, we have things that bust through the blood-brain barrier. So yeah, we're in a mess. If we're just doing things, going with the flow, in this day and age, we are in one big mess when it comes to our health, the health of our children, the health of our older relatives, you name it. And this is the tragic thing, right? Because these peanuts, they don't have any choice, right? It's what you give them. It's what we give them. It's what we provide for them. Clinical concerns include migraines, seizures, anxiety and mood swings, neurodegeneration through long-term exposure, heightened ADHD symptoms in sensitive children. And I would say, and there's a lot of sensitive children. Let's just put it that way. And like the sensitive child is not like the rarity. Let's just put it that way. So go into a little bit data here. Let's see. This, again, if you pick up my PDF, you can go right here and see this. The use of the artificial sweetener. Okay, the title is Direct and Indirect Cellular Effects of Aspartame on the Brain. The use of the artificial sweetener aspartame has long been contemplated and studied by various researchers and people concerned about its negative effects. Aspartame is composed of phenylalanine, blah, 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 blah. Phenylalanine plays an important role in neurotransmitter regulation, whereas aspartic acid is also thought to play a role as an excitatory neurotransmitter in the central nervous system. Glutamate, asparagines, and glutamine are formed from their precursor, aspartic acid, right? Which is what makes it an MSG lookalike. Methanol, yeah, go to the Chinese restaurant and say, I want mine made without MSG, and I'll have a Diet Coke with that. Forms 10% broken down products converted in the body to formate, which can either be excreted or give rise to formaldehyde, a blah, 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 diketopirazine, a carcinogen, cancer-causing, and a number of other highly toxic derivatives. Lovely. Previously, it has been reported that consumption of aspartame could cause neurological and behavioral disturbances in sensitive individuals. Headaches, insomnia, and seizures are also some of the neurological effects that have been encountered. And these may be accredited to changes in regional brain concentrations of catecholamines, which include norepinephrine, epinephrine, dopamine. The aim of this study was to discuss the direct and indirect cellular effects of aspartame on the brain, and we propose that excessive aspartame ingestion might be involved in the pathogenesis of certain mental disorders and also in compromised learning and emotional functioning. Wow. Excitotoxins in food. Again, if you click on that, you go there, but I'll just read it here. Evidence is reviewed pertaining to excitatory neurotoxins, excitotoxins encountered in human food supply. The most frequently encountered food excitotoxin is glutamate, which is commercially added to many foods despite evidence that it can freely penetrate certain brain regions and rapidly destroy neurons by hyperactivating the NMDA subtype of GLU receptor. Hypersensitivity of NMDA receptors during development It makes the immature nervous system especially sensitive to glue excitotoxicity. So think about the pregnant woman drinking Diet Coke every day. I'm just saying Diet Coke as an over, like an over thing, but many other sources. But on the other hand, elderly consumers are particularly sensitive to domoic acid, a powerful excitotoxic glue analog that activates both NMDA and non-NMDA receptors. A high content of domoic acid in shellfish caused a recent food poisoning incident that killed some elderly victims and caused brain damage and memory impairment in others. We have another one, neurolathyrism. This is a crippling neurodegenerative condition associated with ingestion of a legume that naturally contains BOAA, an excitotoxic glue analog that hyperactivates non-NMDA receptors. Thus, the human food supply is a source of excitotoxins that can damage the brain by one type of mechanism to which immature consumers are hyper vulnerable. In other words, ignorant consumers. I don't mean that they're ignorant people in general, but ignorant of the truths about the science behind all of this, or by other mechanisms to which adult and elderly consumers are particularly sensitive. So yes, when you're in a more vulnerable situation, you're even more sensitive. The chronic effect of aspartame on ionic homeostasis and monoamine neurotransmitters in the rat brain. Data concerning acute neurotoxicity is controversial, and knowledge of its chronic effect is limited. In the current study, we investigated the chronic effects of aspartame on ionic homeostasis and regional monoamine neurotransmitter concentrations in the brain. Our results showed that aspartame at high dose caused a disturbance in ionic homeostasis and induced apoptosis in the brain. That's programmed cell death of your brain cells. Apoptosis in the brain. That's what that means. We also investigated the effects of aspartame on brain regional monoamine synthesis, and the results revealed that there was a significant decrease of dopamine in corpus striatum and cerebral cortex and of serotonin in the corpus striatum. Moreover, aspartame treatment significantly alters the tyrosine hydroxylase activity and amino acid levels in the brain, which is very important for Parkinson's. Tyrosine is very involved in the dopaminergic neurons. Our data suggests that chronic use of aspartame may affect electrolyte homeostasis and monoamine neurotransmitter synthesis dose dependently, and this might have a possible effect on cognitive functions. You think? Don't want to take that chance. Simply put, aspartame contains aspartic acid, which, like glutamate in the brain, which acts like glutamate in the brain. Sorry, I can't read properly. It overstimulates nerve cells, just like MSG, and in high amounts for sensitive individuals, this can lead to neurological damage. Think of it as turning the volume knob to 11 and then snapping it off. And yet the industry advertises it as healthy. This is the aspartame.org. Substituting aspartame for sugar or other calorie-containing sweeteners allows people to indulge sweet cravings while consuming fewer calories. That can provide a number of potential benefits. Okay. And these, this was expanded out, it's not sugar, helps prevent tooth decay, helps you lose weight. It makes things taste better, great for diabetics. Anyway, part of a healthy diet, I guess it says over there. I have the whole thing, but it didn't load up here just the way I wanted it to on the slide. But you get the idea. All of the hyper, let's just like advertise this is so much more healthy for you. And again, a lot of diabetics, especially back a little ways in time, were really guided into this by their doctors and by the advertising. Now, here's the real kicker. This is Donald Rumsfeld here. This is aspartame was repeatedly rejected by the FDA because of concerns over brain tumors in animal studies. But after a little political reshuffling, hello, Donald Rumsfeld, former CEO of GD Searle, who invented aspartame, who came up with aspartame, and hello, new Reagan appointed FDA commissioner. So he was the CEO of Searle's They applied for FDA approval of aspartame several times. It was always rejected until Ronald Reagan, who I adored, so nothing against him and on all fronts, never mind, but kind of ignorant, very ignorant on this point, made Donald Rumsfeld head of the FDA commissioner, and voila, aspartame gets its approval. We'll move on to sucralose, Splenda. Sucralose, like Splenda, sounds simple, made from sugar, so it tastes like sugar. That's always been their motto. Except it's sugar that's been chlorinated. So 3 hydroxyl groups are swapped for chlorine atoms, originally explored as a pesticide. Not a metaphor, that it was originally. So let's see how that happened. You'll find it in baked goods, sugar-free drinks, protein powders, even some vitamins. The red flags disrupts gut bacteria, especially the good guys. May shrink the thymus, which is our immune system training center. Great. But make sure you get your flu shot. Can confuse insulin signaling, right? So it's still, even though it's not sugar, it still can affect your insulin levels. And heating it potentially creates chlorinated byproducts. Not on the menu, thank you. So here we go. The origin story of sucralose. So it was a sweet mistake. The origin story of sucralose, Splenda, is one of those accidental discoveries meets chemical wizardry tales. It sounds more like a Marvel origin story than a health product. So let's peel back the sweet yellow wrapper. So here's how it began. 1976, scientists at Queen Elizabeth College in London, right there, working with the British sugar company Tate and Lyle, all right there, in collaboration with researchers at King's College, also in London. What were they trying to do? They were actually conducting research on chlorinated sugars, specifically to develop new insecticides. Yes, sucralose started as pesticide research. One researcher, this person, reportedly misheard test this compound as taste this compound, and he did. He discovered it was intensely sweet, about 600 times sweeter than sugar. The rest, as they say, is synthetic history. So breaking this one down chemically, sucralose is not found in nature. It's made by chemically modifying a sugar molecule. You start with sucrose, table sugar. You replace 3 of the hydroxyl groups with chlorine atoms. And the result is this kind of little mix up here. Yeah. Well, I'm going to try to say it once. Your body doesn't recognize sucralose as food, so most of it passes through undigested, but it's not inert. It's not like it just goes out of your system and doesn't affect you. Studies have shown that there's a disruption of the gut microbiota, which is all in factors into so many health problems today. And that's we've been through, and we know that. Possible DNA damage under certain conditions, and formation of chlorinated byproducts like dioxins when heated. So if you were using, well, I don't know, does that mean when you add Splenda to a hot cup of coffee or tea? Or would you have to boil it or something? I'm not sure, but that's concerning. FDA approval and market rise. So they got the FDA approval in 1998, marketed heavily under the name Splenda with the now infamous tagline, made from sugar, so it tastes like sugar. This branding led many consumers to believe it was a natural product. Again, it's all in the marketing, isn't it? Despite its synthetic chlorinated nature. So saccharin, we move on from there to saccharin, the first sweet fix with a backstory. So this goes way back. So saccharin came first, but I did it in this order because I think saccharin is probably used less today by people than the first 2. Saccharin is the original gangster artificial sweetener. Discovered by accident, rose to fame with diet sodas like Tab, and eventually a decades-long battle over its cancer risk. While it's not banned today, it carries baggage from metallic taste to questionable history. It's calorie-free, but not controversy-free. There's a vintage look back, Diet Tab. I remember my father drinking that. That was the rage, that first diet soda. So this is kind of an interesting story too, and this goes to tasting that accidentally. It's like that one and sucralose. So the chemical name, sulfobenzoic acid and benzoic imide, discovered in 1879 by Konstantin Thalberg, a chemist working at Johns Hopkins University. He accidentally discovered it when he didn't wash his hands before dinner and noticed a sweet taste on his bread. Yeah, science was wild back then. 300 to 500 times sweeter than sugar, with a slight metallic or bitter aftertaste and higher concentrations. And there's Dr. Thalberg. So saccharin is a benzoic sulfonide, not metabolized by the body. It passes through the digestive system unchanged. 0 calories, 0 blood sugar impact. Its structure includes a sulfonamide group, which is related to sulfa drugs. That's why some people with sulfa allergies report sensitivity, like somebody who can't take Bactrim or something like that. Early use and the rise of tabs. So it was first popularized during shortages in World War I and World War II. It gained fame in the 1960s and 70s with the diet soda boom, most notably in Tab, Coca-Cola's first diet soda marketed to women. Tab became iconic for its pink can and strong aftertaste. Guess what sweetener it used? 100% saccharin. Tab's marketing relied on weight-conscious culture and drove saccharin into the mainstream, and it was heavily marketed towards women to lose weight. The controversy, cancer scare and label warnings in the 1970s. Studies found that high doses of saccharin caused bladder cancer in rats. This led to the FDA proposing a ban in 1977, but it was blocked by public backlash, especially from diabetics who depended on it. Instead, Congress passed a law requiring a warning label. Use of this product may be hazardous to your health. This product contains saccharin, which has been determined to cause cancer in laboratory animals. The label stayed on until 2000, when saccharin was removed from the carcinogen list after mechanistic studies suggested the rat-specified effect did not apply to humans. Where you still find it today, Sweet and Low, the pink packets, some brands of diet sodas, cough syrups, chewable medications, toothpaste, and old school diabetic products. Still used globally all over the world, particularly where cheaper production costs are prioritized over taste or marketing. So wrapping up, a wrap-up summary, kicking ass, one packet at a time. Let's take a final look. We're going to review them, artificial sweetener syndicate, or as we've affectionately and accurately dubbed them, the ass gang. Aspartame, born from lab experiments, propped up by politics, breaks down into brain-stimulating neuron fragging products, still hiding in your gum, yogurt, and kids' vitamins. It's all over the place. Sweet until your neurons scream. The thing is, when your neurons are screaming, you don't feel it, right? It's not like, oh, it gave me a headache. Well, aspartame can give you a headache. We saw that migraines, but I mean, it's not like you notice this damage. You're just like, I don't know why my child can't sit still or pay attention in school. I don't know why I have trouble concentrating. I don't know why I'm having trouble finding words. Until your neurons scream. Sucralose, Splenda, a chlorinated sugar with a chemical twist, once considered a pesticide, now found in protein shakes. May disturb gut health, insulin response, and form toxic byproducts when heated. Sweet but shady. Sassy but classy is the ad there. And then again, that's that poster a little bit more expanded. That was like when they first started marketing back in the day to young women to maintain a slim waistline. The original gangster of the group, discovered by accident, revived by diet culture, linked to bladder cancer in rats, banned and unbanned, still used today, metallic aftertaste with a dash of vintage drama. Sweet with a side of scandal. And then artificial sweeteners were supposed to solve the sugar problem. Instead, they created new ones in our brains, our guts, hormones, and trust in the food system. So whether it's a soda can, a pink packet, or a sugar-free gummy bear, remember, if it walks like an ass and metabolizes like an ass, it's probably not a sweet deal. So go check your pantry and give these sweet imposters the kick they deserve. Don't just go with the flow, kick the ass to the curb. I'm going to stop my share. I think it's just so important to take a look at what we're putting into our bodies. And again, I feel bad for the unsuspecting people, the children, the elderly, many times who aren't in control of what they're getting to eat and drink. Because, many of us, most of us can know these things and we're responsible. I mean, if we're going to ingest these things that are bad for us, then that's on us and it's our responsibility and we do it knowingly. But wow, and this is exactly what RFK Jr. is talking about when he's saying, make America healthy again, and getting the processed foods and things out of our diets. This is it, because, children's school lunches, again, food in hospitals, food in nursing homes, all of these things, anything, people who get, what do they call them now? EBT cards, right? To help, they used to call them food stamps, but to help them purchase things on a limited income. If they qualify, the things that those EBT cards will purchase are not whole foods. They are these processed foods that are so bad for them. And so our whole entire food system needs an overhaul. And I just want to say, for ourselves, take a look. I know, I've even made changes in the way I don't do any artificial sweeteners or anything like that, but I think I told you last time that I stopped putting raw honey in my tea. Not that would be necessarily a terrible thing, but why add sweet taste when you easily get over the sweet taste? It tastes just as well without it. So anyway, when it comes, thank you so much, Cindy. I just feel that this information is super valuable. It's so important to know. If you know these things, you really do think twice before you grab something. It's so interesting too, because Donald Trump is such a Diet Coke person. I wish I could get a message to Donald Trump, but maybe RFK Jr. will eventually be able to convert him on that one. Yeah, because it matters. It matters to our health entirely. So anyway, that takes us to the end of this one. Next week, I'm going to, I promise, finish up sweeteners. I'm going to talk about sugar alcohols like xylitol and erythritol and mannitol. A little bit. I'm going to talk about natural sugars like maple syrup, molasses. Also stevia in there. Stevia is a natural sweetener. I'm also going to talk about, honey, molasses, maple syrup, and that azathioprine K, wherever that fits into that whole thing. And I think that will just about cover sweeteners. In the meantime, enjoy your food without the added sweeteners, and enjoy your naturally sweet foods, fresh berries and fruits, things like that, and be well. And I want to thank you for being here with me. I so appreciate that. And we'll be together again next week. Take care. Be well.